Look at where Los Angeles is on a map. And then notice San Diego just down the coast. They're only about 120 miles apart, but when the Chargers traded locations, that short distance was enough to reshape the lives of sports fans in one city while barely registering in the other. That head-scratching decision has come to define the Chargers in Los Angeles. It's remembered as one of the NFL's most hollow triumphs. Although they began in LA, the Chargers spent nearly 6 decades in San Diego, where they grew into a symbol of the city. But that connection lasted until 2017, when the franchise abruptly turned its back and returned north. For San Diegans, this move was a betrayal. A team they had supported through generations of ups and downs had suddenly vanished. For owner Dean Spanos, it was a calculated gamble, trade a loyal but smaller market for the bright lights and endless opportunities of America's second largest city. What followed revealed just how complicated that decision really was. Promises of opportunity collided with uncomfortable realities, and years later, the Chargers' place in Los Angeles still feels far from secure. But I'll let you be the judge of that. First though, let's paint a picture on how the Chargers resonated with the city of San Diego. The franchise began in 1960, debuting in Los Angeles as part of the new American Football League. They played their first season at the Coliseum, but despite its on-field success, the team couldn't capture the city's attention. Crowds were sparse, finances were shaky, and much like today, Los Angeles already had its eyes on other sports. So in 1961, the franchise looked south, where San Diego offered something Los Angeles hadn't: genuine enthusiasm. Local leaders pushed hard for the move, and Balboa Stadium was retrofitted to handle professional football. The Chargers arrived as the city's first major pro team, and San Diego embraced them as its own. Not long after, a more permanent home was built: San Diego Stadium in Mission Valley, later known as Jack Murphy Stadium and eventually Qualcomm Stadium. That building would stand for decades as the central stage of the franchise's history, and the setting for every high and every low that followed. But more on that shortly. Over the years, the Chargers produced moments and figures that became ingrained in the San Diego sports scene. The high-powered offenses of Dan Fouts and Air Coryell took over the 1970s and 80s. Junior Seau was the face of the franchise in the 1990s and helped lead the franchise to its only ever Super Bowl appearance. And the 2000s brought LaDainian Tomlinson and Phillip Rivers, a duo that gave the Chargers record-breaking stardom. Throughout this half-century, the city's loyalty never wavered. The Chargers, along with the Padres, became San Diego's sporting mainstays, serving as major symbols in a region that has often been overshadowed by Los Angeles up north. But this picture wasn't entirely rosy in America's finest city. By the 2000s, Qualcomm Stadium was crumbling. The concourses were outdated, the amenities lagged behind modern NFL standards, and compared to the wave of luxury-packed stadiums being built across the league, Qualcomm was starting to look like a relic. The Padres left for Petco Park in 2003, leaving the Chargers and San Diego State University as the only two tenants. That only heightened the pressure to replace or renovate the building, and the NFL itself made clear that San Diego would not host another Super Bowl until a new stadium was built, which added even more urgency. For years, negotiations dragged on. The Spanos family insisted that public money was essential for a new stadium, all while the city balked at committing billions in taxpayer funds. The stalemate became the defining issue between the team and its hometown.
Is the value of a stadium worth more than the working class residents of my community?
The breaking point, however, came in 2016 with Measure C, a ballot initiative concerning the potential new stadium. It was the Chargers' last attempt to secure a new home, a plan to raise the hotel tax to finance a stadium and convention center downtown. To pass, it needed a 2/3 majority. It got just 43%. This vote was doomed from the start. Downtown San Diego's growing base of transplants, many connected to the military or drawn by California's coastal appeal, didn't carry the same allegiance to the Chargers. Combine that with years of on-field mediocrity that stem from ownership, the burden of the city and state's high taxes, along with public skepticism toward the NFL's promises, the push for a tax hike never stood much of a chance at all. It was a disappointing situation Chargers fans found themselves in. An NFL team moving away to another region takes an emotional toll on the average fan. And even if they continue to find ways to support the franchise, it can be a catalyst for more challenges, such as determining how expensive it would be to travel out to see your team live or finding ways to watch their games from home. The former is obviously dependent on where you live, but for the latter, all you would need is a VPN. That's one of the many benefits of using Surfshark, the sponsor of today's video. If you're like me, then you love watching sports, but the reality is, even if you're paying for multiple streaming services, certain games still get blocked based on where you live. That's where Surfshark makes a difference. Let's say you want to watch the Chargers on a Sunday afternoon, but you live in Texas, which means the game is blacked out in your area. Well, with Surfshark, you can simply switch your location to Los Angeles, and just like that, the game is available. As someone who doesn't live in Minnesota but is a Vikings fan, believe me, this is a tool that I use all the time. It's a quick and easy solution. Another really useful benefit that I've noticed while using Surfshark is that it allows you to save money by preventing price discrimination. For example, if I'm booking a last-minute flight or hotel online, a lot of websites will know where I am and will raise prices when they sense a desperate situation. But with Surfshark, I mask my location and I stop these sites from overcharging me. This lets me keep more money in my pocket, and it saves me a ton in the long run. Overall, Surfshark provides me with a peace of mind. With over 3,200 servers across 100 countries, unlimited devices per account, and features like Surfshark Search, which delivers organic results without targeted ads, I get the benefit of privacy and accessibility all in one package. What's great is that Surfshark also offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's really no risk at all in trying it out to see if it works for you. And to sweeten the deal even more, just go to surfshark.com/Mapify or use the code Mapify at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. We all know that we're heading into the busiest season of sports, so there's absolutely no better time to try this out than right now. To surf the web safely from anywhere, visit the link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen. It's my gift to you. Now back to the video. To many fans, rejecting Measure C was a rejection of the Spanos family's unwillingness to take on the cost of the stadium. For Dean Spanos, the results provided the green light to pursue a better stadium deal elsewhere, all while giving him an excuse to shift the blame to San Diego as the reason his options were limited. Either way, the failure of Measure C signaled the end of the Chargers' future in San Diego, and that opened the door for what would come next.
Owner Dean Spanos has told Roger Goodell he's going to move his team to Los Angeles.
The news still came like a punch to the gut. Our Chargers are headed to the City of Angels.
With the public having its say, Dean Spanos finally activated the NFL's relocation clause, triggering the options to join the Rams' move to Los Angeles. In January of 2017, he released a letter announcing the Chargers would move to LA, with home games slated initially for the StubHub Center in Carson. The move sent San Diego into shock. Fans reacted with outrage, setting memorabilia ablaze, and local businesses refused to assist with the move. The feeling was one of betrayal. Decades of loyalty tossed aside in pursuit of greener pastures. Meanwhile, Spanos' reputation among NFL owners and fans sank even further than it already had. His name became synonymous with disloyalty and opportunism, cementing his reputation as one of the most unpopular owners in league history. And it did him zero favors that the post-San Diego era for the Chargers didn't get off to a hot start. The franchise's first stop after leaving San Diego was the StubHub Center in Carson, a cramped 27,000-seat soccer stadium far from what most NFL teams expect in a home field. It was a temporary solution while SoFi Stadium was under construction, and right away, it was immediately clear that this move didn't go as planned. The opening regular season game failed to sell out, and the loudest cheers came not when the Chargers scored, but when Dolphins fans celebrated a missed field goal.
On the way, and he missed it.
Then there was the Fight for LA campaign. Meant to win over undecided fans in Los Angeles, the promotional effort backfired. It came across as forced and tone-deaf, closing what little chance remained of repairing ties with San Diegans who might have stayed loyal. It highlighted just how out of place the team felt in its new home. Plus, it doesn't help that the sports scene in LA is crowded beyond belief. When the Chargers came to town, football loyalties were already split between lingering Raiders nostalgia, USC's story tradition, and the recently returned Rams, who had far more history in the city. On top of that, the Lakers and Dodgers have long towered over the city's sports culture, while the Clippers, Kings, Galaxy, and others fight for whatever attention remains in one of the most competitive entertainment markets in the world. Carving out a new identity here was an uphill battle. And to San Diegans, the move felt not just inconvenient, but insulting. Their team relocated 2 hours up the road to a market already jam-packed with franchises. By the way, if you're new to the channel and are enjoying this video, Mapify is jam-packed with stories just like this one, so feel free to explore more when you're done here. If you find a few videos that you like, then be sure to subscribe to Mapify, as it goes a long way towards growing the channel. Thanks. So in only a few weeks, the Chargers went from being San Diego's pride to LA's awkward afterthought. The move began with indifference, ridicule, and a sense that the franchise had walked into a market that simply wasn't ready to welcome it. But the justification for the move began to make a little bit more sense after the opening of SoFi Stadium. When this mammoth of a sports complex finally opened in 2020, it looked like the payoff Dean Spanos had been waiting for. Billed as one of the most expensive sports venues ever built, the $5 billion palace instantly became a crown jewel of not just the NFL, but the entire country. It was the kind of stage San Diego could never provide. Except the arrangement wasn't as glamorous as it seemed. The stadium was the vision and project of Rams owner Stan Kroenke, who financed it himself, which meant the Chargers weren't equal partners, they were just tenants. Their lease gave them long-term security in the LA market, essentially locking the franchise into Inglewood for 2 decades. But it also made clear who was in control. From a business standpoint, the move delivered results. The franchise's valuation soared, climbing into the multi-billion-dollar tier alongside the league's elite. Being in Los Angeles with its massive media reach and global visibility, it gave the team a platform it never had in San Diego. Yet culturally, the problems persisted. Even in SoFi's 70,000 plus seat configuration, Chargers games often featured heavy representation from visiting fans. The stadium needed to cement their new identity, and instead highlighted their struggle to claim true home field advantage. On the balance sheet, the Chargers had never been stronger, but on the ground in Los Angeles, they were still lacking the type of attention they had just over 100 miles down the I-5. So after everything that's gone on since the move to Los Angeles, what became of San Diego? Instead of folding into bitterness, the city redirected its passion. Since the Chargers left town, the Padres quickly became the unquestioned centerpiece of San Diego sports. It didn't take long for the team to draw record attendance at Petco Park while energizing the community in ways the Chargers once did. This was aided by the help of a newfound competitive roster. And back in LA, the Chargers are still searching for an identity. In terms of marketing, the Rams leaned on tradition and eventually a Super Bowl win to re-establish themselves as the city's NFL team. As for the Chargers, they took on a different route. The franchise leaned heavily into digital marketing and meme-driven social media, particularly geared toward younger fans. Online, their strategy stood out, giving the team a distinct voice across the NFL. Inside SoFi though, the same problem lingers. No matter how sharp the branding, the Chargers still struggle to settle in their new home. But I'd love to know your thoughts on the Chargers situation. If you're from San Diego, do you still follow the team? If so, how do you feel about them? If you're from LA, do you still see the franchise staying put indefinitely? Throw in your comments and hot takes in the comment section below. I'd love to hear the local opinion. So where does all of this leave the future of the franchise? Well, on the field, the Chargers have delivered just enough promise to spark belief, but never enough to sustain it. A strong 2018 season ended with a playoff run that hinted at bigger things, only to fade back into mediocrity. The arrival of Justin Herbert in 2020 gave fans a new face of the franchise, but that hope was quickly tempered by high-profile collapses, none more infamous than the loss to Jacksonville in the 2022 wildcard game. In 2024, the hiring of Jim Harbaugh signaled a reset. The Chargers enter this new era with higher expectations than at any point since the move. On paper, the pieces are all there for a breakthrough. Whether that happens or not is up to fate. The NFL's gamble in Los Angeles was always about scale. Bigger market, bigger revenues, and global exposure. For the Chargers though, the trade-off was always walking away from certainty. And that uncertainty they find themselves in defines the franchise today and what their path might look like moving forward. As always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.